and let us all do we can to build a better future.
You knew it was going to happen, folks. The critics of Force the Vote were going to come out in droves and saying, Jimmy Dore wasn't right. Jimmy Dore didn't create Force the Vote. Stop pretending that he invented this idea. First of all, to all the critics against Force the Vote, we must not ever forget that at one point in time with Force the Vote, people like Ryan Grimm, Fat Tony, Cenk Uygur, Scam Cedar, Sam Cedar, were all on board with Force the Vote. This is a fact. They were all on board with it. They agreed. And Force the Vote is an effective strategy that was from the DSA playbook. Now, here's what Jimmy Dore and everyone else, Hardlands Media included, were asking for with Force the Vote. To withhold their vote, the 15 congressmen and women on the Force the Vote petition, to withhold their vote for Nancy Pelosi so that Nancy would put Medicare for all on the House floor for a vote. Now, for those detractors saying, oh, well, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. First, let's say it failed. If you were a smart campaign advisor, if you were smart in running your strategy and also rallying the progressive base and not killing it like Bernie Sanders and the, progressive movement did, you would shine a light on all the heartless Democratic and Republican lawmakers that would not give the people health care at the height of a pandemic. Now, Jimmy Dore and everyone else who were calling for Force the Vote, Hardlands Media, everyone that was involved in it, Justin Jackson, Briahna Joy Gray, Dr. Cornel West, we weren't telling the squad or the other 15 congressmen and women on the Force the Vote petition to vote present. We were saying no. Now, there's a difference between a no vote and a present vote. Now, Fair and Balanced explained this on our show on Monday, and she's explained it on our continuous live streams as well. A present vote means you nullify your vote. You are no longer a playable character in the field. You're out. And the only way an opposing party, let's say the Republicans at that time in 2021, could get the speakership is if enough Democrats were brain dead to vote present, which was not going to be the case. And the only chance right now Hakeem Jeffries can become Speaker of the House is if enough Republicans are brain dead to vote present. That's not going to happen. What we're seeing right now in Congress is a continuous Force the Vote, withholding your vote. This is what it looks like. But then you have jagoffs like this, Ryan Grimm, who had the audacity to even, put on a fake mask for the for everyone who's been at least trying to get some kind of answers. Here he is, Ryan Grimm, saying, and again, a horrible profile picture.
Serial killer. What?
Yeah, it looks no, it's a portrait of a serial killer. I am begging people to stop pretending that Jimmy Dore invented the idea of using leverage in the year of our Lord 2020. Who even writes that tweet? Ryan, you jackass. The criticism was always about the demand for a vote on the House floor that would lose by 200 at least. That's all it was about. No, Ryan, no. That's not what it was about if you're paying attention. And then there's people like this. Now, look, Anna Kasparian has something to weigh in on this, too. Because, again, even the people at TYT failed to see the bigger picture.
Asks an important question. I actually was tempted in talking about this a little bit in the previous segment, but I decided against it. Now I'm going to. The question is, can you explain how this Force the Vote is different than Dems Force the Vote? There are lots of Force the Vote proponents who say AOC should have done what the Republicans are doing now with Pelosi in 2020. Well, remember, Force the Vote was about withholding votes for Nancy Pelosi's speakership role until she made the concession that there would be a floor vote on single-payer health care in the House.
I want to pause it here because I want to give my colleague Lauren a chance to give her a point of view on this one too. But I want to pause it here, folks, and explain this is what we're seeing the Freedom Caucus ask from McCarthy. Now, obviously, there have been 15 Republicans that flip-flopped and decided to vote for McCarthy now, but let's face it, this is what you do, Anna. You got to ask something and hold your leadership's feet to the fire. This is what it looks like. and the Republican establishment is showing us what an effective force of vote looks like. Lauren, real quick, I want to get your commentary in here.
I mean, yeah, it seems like they gave up. Is what happened. It's like, well, we're gonna lose it anyway, so who cares? And then everyone is saying, well, it wouldn't have worked anyway, so why try? But that seems like a terrible message. I guess it's like, because it's clear that, like, yeah, it doesn't take that many people to actually potentially affect some change. Like, if the Republicans are managing, they're blocking this for now, and it's not taking too many people. It's just, they're forcing Kevin McCarthy to concede stuff. They're going to force change to happen the way they want it to, essentially. And so it's like, for all of the pundits or whatever who have been saying, like, oh, well, it just wouldn't have worked, so, like, it doesn't matter that the Democrats didn't do it. It's like, it can work. And it's like, and like, just because you think it won't isn't a good reason not to try anyway.
Yep.
Generally.
Let's continue on.
Which would have failed. Okay, so the ask was for a vote that would fail. I mean, I at this point, I almost just wish that it would have happened, because I would give anything to have Briahna Joy Gray move on with her life and maybe talk about something different. Like, it's ridiculous. But this McCarthy situation is different.
She had to throw salt at Briahna Joy
Yeah,
Gray.
really? Like, why was that necessary? That was like and also it's like, that's just unnecessary shade right there. Like, come on. Can you think about anything besides Briahna Joy Gray? Maybe, like, maybe you should move on with your life.
And again, Briahna Joy Gray patiently discussed force the vote and holding the Progressive Squad members accountable with Cenk Uygur, who all he could do, same as Sammy Boy Cedar, all what those two could do throughout those two interviews. And hey, audience, correct me if I'm wrong. All what they couldn't do is they couldn't shut up talking about Jimmy Dore. This is not about Jimmy Dore.
Nope.
He's the one who found the DSA playbook and said, hey, well, this looks like a good idea. And at one point, Cenk and little old Sammy agreed.
Because the concessions that McCarthy has agreed to don't even matter for the group of Republicans who refuse to vote for him, okay? They don't care about the concessions. They don't trust him, and they've said so. They don't trust him. They're not gonna vote for him. It's not about concessions. The whole force the vote thing was about an ask that would have ultimately failed and could have potentially hurt.
Potentially hurt? Okay, I wanna stop that right there.
Yeah, okay.
Medicare for all, richest country in the world. The American people don't have it. The Squad rarely even talks about it. They only tweet about a feel-good tweet of, oh, what does Medicare for all mean for you and your family? What does Medicare for all mean for your livelihood? It means the world for people, and yet these politicians have gold-plated healthcare. And I'm supposed to believe that somehow if we just kept our powder dry, things would be fine. We kept our powder dry. But here's the thing. Again, it gets stupider. It gets dumber. And dumber and dumber, because unfortunately, and I do apologize, folks, but unfortunately, you have crap like this, where, again, this is the video in which we played. Force the vote advocates are on record supporting any number of asks as early as December of 2020. See, for example, my piece in Current Affairs, which incorporates Sorota's asks as well. But force the vote detractors insist on criticizing the ask because they've been exposed as not understanding power. And that's the thing. A lot of the people who have been critical of force the vote don't understand power. To which then Anna Banana decided to tweet out, how excited are you that there is another opening to talk about the same boring BS from 3 years ago? Again, not understanding power, Anna.
To which it's happening now too. It's not just from 3 years ago.
No, yeah, it's very relevant.
Current.
It is extremely current, because this was an opportunity lost by the Democrats that I know for a fact AOC and the Squad do not have the heart to do. I love Brianna's response. I'm sorry, I didn't see this because I muted you years ago to minimize the puerile and ad hominem attacks on my timeline. Regardless, Anna, the invitation remains open. I'm sure 80+% of your audience, mind you, TYT actually did a poll where 80% of the audience agreed with Jimmy Dore on force the vote, who supported force the vote, would appreciate a good faith debate on the matter. And we all know Briahna Joy Gray is a slayer. She is a beast. She does not hold back.
Oh yeah, she'll come for you with facts.
Yes, exactly. And if you're not ready, you better keep your head on a swivel. But there's a little bit more to this. I want to pull up this tweet here. It's of none other than our good friend, Jimmy Dore. And shout out to Alex Knight for finding this little treasure trove video. Let's play it.
A call seemed to go out to leading figures in the progressive media that they should drop force the vote. Although I first heard of the idea from Sam Cedar, host of the YouTube show Majority Report, who said he supported Jimmy Dore's idea despite having a long-standing feud with Jimmy.
Now, again, this is a fact. Folks, this isn't open for debate. Cenk and Sam agreed with Jimmy Dore. And don't forget, it wasn't too long ago where Cenk actually went on the Jimmy Dore show to ask Jimmy for his help for his failing campaign. But we'll just play that again one more time. I want to play the full video in its entirety. I will not pause. I apologize for pausing right there. But again, remember, this isn't open for debate. Those two jagoffs, Cenk and Sam, agreed with Jimmy Dore on force the vote until a ring, ring, ring phone call happened.
A call seemed to go out to leading figures in the progressive media that they should drop force the vote. Although I first heard of the idea from Sam Cedar, host of the YouTube show Majority Report, who said he supported Jimmy Dore's idea despite having a long-standing feud with Jimmy. He quickly...
Okay, there's no feud that involves two people. There's just one guy who's jealous of me who talks about it. It's not a feud. Okay.
changed his tune, alluding to a call he'd received that discouraged this approach. A call from whom? We could only guess. The legacy left media all quickly turned against the idea, with large accounts like the Young Turks, Majority Report, and others spreading outright misinformation about the risks of what might happen if the squad declined to vote for Nancy Pelosi. They repeatedly claimed, wrongly, that Kevin McCarthy would become Speaker of the House by default. Of course, as we all saw yesterday and today, that was never true.
Never true. So let's just recap real quick. What she just said there is that there was a phone call that went out to people who were previously on board for this. People with MSNBC contracts, people who take big corporate donor money like at the Young Turks, people like that were on board for this. And then a phone call went out.
Ring, ring, ring.
We don't know who made that phone call. Said, you can't go along with this. And what were they promised? What did those people get for going against this thing that everybody agrees is a good idea, from AOC to the DSA to everybody, for even Nancy Pelosi for a generation ago said that when she got into Congress, she wanted to have a vote for Medicare for all on the floor. So what was that phone call? So that's the first thing. And the second thing is they immediately all started lying in the same way, saying that Kevin McCarthy could become speaker and that this was a bad strategy and that they could use this tactic of forcing a vote for another thing like $15 minimum wage, which they never did. So those are the two things I just wanted to point out. That's a very, very big. There was a phone call. Who's making the phone call that's controlling the quote unquote progressive YouTube? And then all the people who follow the Young Turks go along with that, even though they didn't get that phone call and they're not getting anything for it.
Again, interesting. Interesting was all this development that took place. Now, I notice, and again, we're going to be running a little bit short on time here, so I want to just pull up this tweet here. He is a member of RBN. And look, the squad has done a permanent damage on the progressive movement. Before I pull this up, Lauren, I want to get your comments on that video with Jimmy Dore and also everything else that we've been discussing.
Well, I mean, like he said, I mean, if feud takes two. It's not just one person who thinks that they know best and they're just going to spit vitriol at someone, because you have to, and you know, calling things. In that basically just calling call a spade essentially. Mm-hmm. Like, and I like that how he like turned that down. He's like, no, that's not what that is. The reason that you shouldn't trust him isn't because of that. Because that does seem to be like well, there's not a huge reason to bring up their particular fight, except for the fact that it's like, it almost seemed like one of these big news programs would actually have like a bit of integrity for like a minute. It's like, because they don't agree on a lot, but they agreed on this, and then suddenly they did, and it's, oh, okay, I guess there was no integrity there after all. Which is just, it's frustrating to see that in all of these like big things. was there a real physical phone call, or is that like more of a metaphor? Like, because I don't remember hearing about a phone, like
Well,
any.
What's interesting and what makes this very suspicious, Lauren, is and this was before you
Oh, I'm not
came
saying it's
on
not
board the
suspicious. I
team.
was just asking if there's like if
Well,
there was actually a
somehow something caused
Mm.
Jank, Sam, and everyone else that was part of that inner circle or with the TYT. So what probably happened most likely is Jank and everyone else who was involved at one point or in support of Jimmy Dore's force to vote most likely got a message, not just a phone call. I mean, no, it's a little bit of a bigger, broader statement, like they got a phone call, but they probably got a message or
Okay.
somebody gave them a message in regards towards, hey, we don't want you to support this, or you're going to lose your contract with BSDNC, or you're not going to get any more of that Katzenberg cash. So again, look, YouTube being an independent, or being involved in independent media, it is a very back and forth kind of a deal to where if you don't play ball, you're going to get screwed over. And Fat Tony and Scam Cedar decided to, well, sell out and flip flop and start being antagonistic towards forced to vote. Now, obviously, I know you were bringing up some points, but could you repeat those points again before I pull up this tweet? Because God Almighty, I am ticked off.
Farron says you sent it the wrong link. I tried to send one, but I don't know if it worked. Basically, I just said that it is incredibly, it seems very, it's annoying to me that these people are pretending that what happened a couple years ago isn't relevant now, because it is clearly working. Something can be done. The fact that they were all super defeatist about it at the time, and that potentially has harmed a lot of people just because they were using a fear-mongering tactic in order to basically trick their audiences into no longer supporting something that could actually be effective, based on the fact that they would probably not be getting their sponsorships and their funding anymore. And that is distressing to me as someone who would prefer news to be have some integrity and should have some amount of trust involved. And the fact that they're so easily swayed, and the fact that they're continuing to just like bash the people who were right all those years ago is very telling about them as people.
Right. And again, folks, I also sent the link out to Farron to join us as well. Look, I don't know why there's such a massive rush of censorship or why things fail, but, I want to talk about failures real quick. I want to pull up this little tweet of a colleague of ours, Rome. You might know him from his work that he does with RBN. So he talks about the squad. Funded ICE, funded Israel, the Nazis in Ukraine, the police, the CIA. And joining us here is also Farron Balance. Shout out to Farron.
Long time no see, Kit. How are you? Nice to meet you, Lauren.
Nice to meet you, Farron.
Voted for Trump defense bills, the CARE Act, stripped striking right from workers, sat and watched 1 million people during the pandemic die and barely said anything about it. Great job. This is, again, what the squad has done. And the thing is, Rome isn't wrong. He isn't incorrect. How is he incorrect? So, Farron, thank you so much for joining us as well. I know it's short notice, but
I've been sitting here all day. If you guys have been watching me cover the House speaker vote, so I had nothing to do but watch this.
So in other words, I would like to get your commentary on this. Now, again, this video or this live stream would be going smoothly unless because I was interrupted at a wrong time, and I'm now debating with myself just to keep that interruption in, because I pay my internet on time. And it's always been to
explain.
and it's always been running smoothly, unless I've counted it now 4 times where I'm covering controversial subjects and my internet somehow magically decides to poop out on me.
Oh boy.
So Farron, before I pull up this final video, I'd like to get your thoughts on forced to vote and how all the critics against Jimmy Dore and all the supporters for forced to vote are now saying, oh, we weren't wrong. This doesn't count, or we wanted to see it to fail.
Well, I mean, first of all, as Jimmy has said on multiple occasions now, that he clearly feels vindicated. What is interesting, though, is watching the Speaker of the House vote today. You had 15 Republicans that were, they were forcing the vote in one day. Out of 20 Republicans, or the 21, 15 defected, switched their vote, say what you will. And it's one of these things where, do we look at them as, okay, they held out, they finally, got what they wanted? Or is it, you're defectors? And I keep thinking back on this and thinking, like, what would have happened if they did force the vote? And then if they got it, then would they then, like, how would we have viewed them after it happened? You know what I mean? Because the way that I am looking at these 15 different GOP folks, or this Freedom Caucus, if you look at that graphic I just sent you, these are the 15 that defected or flip-flopped, and it's like, okay, now I used to cover Jackie Walorski in the state of Indiana. She was, if you don't know, the recent representative who was killed in a car crash. And the one thing that I really admired about her when I covered her, when she was when I was a news anchor in South Bend, was that anytime she flipped on a vote, she would tell her constituents immediately, hey, I got us a MRAP plant that we're going to get now, even though it's donating to the military industrial complex. But like, I got us this steel company that's going to be coming here. I flip-flopped on this vote for this. So it's a number. So she would show, like, how she was helping her constituents. With these 15 defectors today, they better be coming out real quick and saying why they did it and what they got out of it, which is something that the squad obviously never had the option to do because they were a little chicken, you know what. But yeah, it was an interesting day to see all these people flip. Very interesting.
Yeah, and again, I did hold out hope that maybe those 15 would still keep on this pushing this clown show going forward. I would like to see it happening, but unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case. And now going forward, let's go back in time. All right, and again, I do apologize for any kind of delays that have happened, which I have to say I'm rightfully angry about. But I'm glad to have you here, Farron, just to help us out along the way. Because let's look at Force the Vote and what it was supposed to represent for the people. This is a video that Matt Orfalea did in 2020 that was calling for the squad to do the right thing. This isn't what Anna Kasparian was saying, or Ryan Grimm or Sam Cedar or Janke were saying, oh, it wasn't going to work, or simple ask. This was a demand and a strong tactic that could have been used effectively against the Democratic establishment to shine a light on heartless lawmakers that denied us health care at the height of a pandemic. These politicians, even AOC, have gold-plated health care.
We can't even get a floor vote on Medicare for all.
That's garbage. You can do it right now. We need 15 Democrats.
Jimmy.
We need the elected officials that you helped get elected to tell Nancy Pelosi that you will not vote for her as speaker unless Medicare for all is put on the House floor for a vote.
I think it's a really smart idea.
The worst abuse of power, Crystal, is not using the power you have to fight for people.
Will they? Time to let AOC know they have no other option, because we're watching and we see through their bullshit excuses.
We have to put public pressure on them.
I want to see who's going to vote against healthcare in the middle of a pandemic. If you're not going to do it now, you are never going to do it, you phony.
All the people who filled up your voicemail, they're going to remember whether you did the right thing here.
Which side are they really on? This is where you force progressive House members to reveal who they answer to. Do they answer to their constituents, or do they answer to the party bosses? Listen to AOC's own words.
The Democratic Party does not do more unless it is pushed.
And so this moment is the great unmasking.
Force it to happen.
Ask them, are you fighters or are you careerists? Are you activists for the people, or are you posers on Twitter.
Everyone's going to try to tell you that if you're just a little bit nicer, then it'll be fine. No.
The whole point of protesting is to make people uncomfortable. You got to make them uncomfortable. She's pretending to be part of a movement when she's really running cover for Nancy Pelosi. Did you think anybody voted for you so you could vote Nancy Pelosi without getting them anything? This is Medicare for all. People's actual lives depend on us doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
Now it's your chance to actually use your leverage. Will you?
Take risks.
Or will you be a party fucking climber?
Start bringing the ruckus on the Democratic Party. Force it to happen. Do not trust any political party to automatically work in your interest.
I call on everybody in independent media to join this mission.
Force it to happen.
Force the Congress to show which side are they really on. No vote for Nancy Pelosi unless Medicare for all is put on the House floor for a vote.
So we need to push them.
Lauren,
Wow.
Farron, I want to give you two the final word, starting with Lauren and then Farron.
It's always fun when you can use someone's own words against them. It's just like, come on, like this is a very internet, like public era we live in. Everything you say can and will be used against you in the court of public opinion. And like the fact that these people think that they can just keep getting away with it is hilarious to me. It's like y'all made fun of it when it was Trump being like, I didn't say that, and then it pulls up like tweets that say, it's like y'all do the same thing over and over and over again. It's just like you can't put all of that out there and then roll it back and pretend like it never happened and just say, oh well, we would have, but it wouldn't have worked, so what was the point? It's ridiculous is what it is.
Yeah. And I think to piggyback off of that, what we saw today in this House Speaker vote, a lot of people were saying, I can't believe that Chip Roy flipped. And I was like, what, Chip? No, because he was one of the strongest proponents of never Kevin. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And you could even see a number of these Republicans when they flipped, like one of them looked like he was physically going to throw up when he did. You still have 6, one including Matt Gaetz that's leading the charge. Say what you will about him. I think in this case, he is doing what his constituents want. 90% of Americans do not want Kevin McCarthy as speaker. And he is doing the people's work and not electing Kevin McCarthy and bringing alternatives. It's going to be interesting to see with those flip-floppers if they end up winning this go around. Now, if Kevin McCarthy does a great job, they might be safe. But if he doesn't, those people that flipped are going to have lots of explaining to do.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And another thing too, folks, this isn't about one media group or one YouTube channel or a commentator. The force of vote for Medicare for All was to get our progressive or quote unquote progressive lawmakers to fight for Medicare for all. They abandoned you. Now, I like to say I'm a progressive, and the thing is, the actions of the squad will forever have me questioning their ability to continue to fight for us. I know for a fact I can't trust them. And the people who say, oh, we need to do Medicare for all or UBI or student debt forgiveness, you're in Washington, D.C. There's no excuse for you not to be acting the same way the Republicans right now are acting towards their leadership. There was no excuse for you not to enact the same kind of force of vote towards Nancy. What was it, AOC? Did Nancy bully you? Did she spit in your face? Did she punch you in the gut? What was it? Or did you not even care in the first place? To all you sycophants who said, oh, force of vote would never work, or we got to keep our powder dry, how much longer do we have to wait? How many of our friends and neighbors have to die because of, again, we don't have Medicare for all, or the fact that nothing's being done to elevate our lives? You know, I'm going to give the final word on this one because Lauren, Farron, you did a fantastic job. But here's the thing. If things keep on going down this path of absolute brutality and violence to where our politicians are abandoning us, just a warning to all those people who didn't like Force the Vote or Jimmy Dore. Good luck telling that person, that random person who lost their loved ones and have nothing left to lose, to calm down and be pragmatic. Because that person who's lost everything, and that's a lot of Americans right now who are losing everything, they will not be calm or pragmatic. They will beat you within an inch of your life. That's how crazy things will get if nothing fundamentally changes. And all these critics of Force the Vote will be begging like dogs for someone like Jimmy Dore to say, hey, everyone, calm down. If people have nothing left to lose, if we truly are going to be a country that caters to the 1% and have an oligarchy, there will be a violent pushback. It is inevitable. This isn't a threat. This is a warning. Heads up. And good luck telling that random person, TYT or Majority Report or Ryan Grimm or the Squad, to calm down. Just give us a few more months and we can get this bill passed. People don't have time to wait right now. Some people have lost everything in this country, and it's going to keep on getting worse.
And you know what's so funny, Kit? I just have to say one more thing as I'm sitting here thinking about this. And you said like democracy and voting and all that other stuff. You know, today, all you heard across, especially at the liberal media, today's the anniversary of January 6th, where we almost lost our democracy. No, folks, what you're seeing right now with this Speaker of the House vote, that's democracy. Democracy, where people are saying, no, I don't want that. And things are fractured. You don't see the just get behind us because we're Republicans and just vote with us because we're the same party. No, true democracy is what we're seeing right now, where maybe a group of 7 or 10 or 15 people can hold up a whole bunch of votes. That is democracy. And I find it very fitting that this is all happening on the anniversary of where we almost lost our democracy.